Yo, this hot, this the spot, there it is, pod.com. We're interviewing the best comedians, so tune in quick and get your ears receiving them. We talking about life and life to stream right to you, from the microphone right to your home, dude. Side note, this might get embarrassing, but no, don't sweat, yo, cause there it is.
Welcome to the There It Is podcast, a comedy podcast to help you find your inspiration. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a very, very good episode today. It is with Casey Rand, who has done so much. She's incredible. She has done a ton in the marketing world and in the climate advocacy world, and more. We talk about all of that, and she shares her side of a story that you heard in the Howard Finkelstein episode. It's so sweet, and I love that story, and I love this chat. Why don't we get right to it? Here's my chat with Casey Rand. Are you originally from Canada?
Yeah, from Montreal.
Yeah, and when there is that now, let me double check my records here. My research.
Got your Canada records?
Well, no, my research on you, my info about you. Did you go to school there? I know you went to VCU.
Yeah, I did undergrad in Canada at a
Queen's
college.
University?
Yeah,
Okay.
Queen's University. Shout out. I'm sure there's zero crossover. But yeah, I went to Queen's, and yeah, I did like a marketing, like a business degree. And then when I graduated, I was like, what does this do for me? And I started looking for jobs in Montreal. I did like some really crazy jobs. Like my dad had a friend whose wife wanted to like be a musician, and her husband was really rich, and so he started a music label, and they hired me to like get her on iTunes.
Interesting.
At the time. And I was like, nothing I learned in school taught me how to get someone on iTunes. So I kind of like bummed around Montreal doing all these weird jobs for a year, and then I learned about like creatives in an advertising agency, and I was like, oh, that kind of like mixes the things that I like to do. So then I ended up going to VCU for grad school.
Gotcha. Just to go back for a second, how long is a job getting someone on iTunes back then? Like how long is that?
How long did I try?
What was it that they wanted? Because can't anyone get on iTunes, or is it?
Back then it was like, this was like 2005. So you had to like be like
Already,
Apple
right.
had to like host your music or something. And
Oh, interesting. And they weren't just putting anybody on there back then.
No, you couldn't just like upload your music. It was like you had to be invited and be like an official musician and all the stuff. And
that's how it could be a job that lasts longer than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, most of the job was like babysitting their kid. So it wasn't like an official role, but yeah, the kind of thing where you're, aimless at home after college, and your parents will like, go make some money somehow.
Absolutely. I know the feeling. I remember graduating college and being like, I'm trying to just do something, because I have a mass communications degree, and our department had marketing as part of it. And there were people who were kind of openly like, I'm not sure how these two necessarily relate, but there is a little overlap. And every once in a while I would have classmates in certain classes that were in the marketing department. But it is sort of like, it doesn't feel like a track that goes directly to what you do now necessarily.
Yeah, totally. And when I went into business school, I mean, like my focus wasn't even marketing. I applied to like a creative writing program in Halifax, Dalhousie, where my mom lived, and I applied to Queen's, and I got a full ride at Queen's. So I just went, and their commerce program was really good. But dude, like it was like finance, accounting. I'm like, I'm so bad at these kind of things. And I had one teacher, I had a marketing teacher who like saw me and was like, you are not supposed to be here. You need to call this man. He like gave me the number of someone who worked at an agency in New York. And I remember I came to New York for like a spring break or something. And that guy was like, you're a writer, but like you could mix your, you can mix your degree with writing in this really interesting way. And then I was like, okay, I'll do that. You know, when you're young and you just like have no idea what's possible, and like the first person who tells you what to do, you're like, okay. I think that's basically what happened to me. Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. And that can be, it's just like, how lucky are you with the people who give you advice?
Totally. Totally. I mean, I think about that, like the Ryan Coogler thing, like the teacher that like he brought to the Oscars or whatever. And it's like, my God, like how lucky to have someone like that in your life who just
told him like, you need to do this. And
like she saw it.
Right. She saw it. And also like, she never told other students that. Like that was something she specifically said to him because she noticed something. And if he had been somewhere else,
who knows?
With someone who knows? Like maybe he could have been somewhere else where someone was in the business and could have helped, and he could have been with someone who had no idea.
I mean, or he could have been like in the NFL. He seems like he would have been really successful regardless, but yeah.
Good point. Yeah, because he did play football in college.
Yeah.
No, that's an excellent story. But for you, when you did start working, I mean, was it a couple of years later that you moved to New York City? Like or was it immediate after?
No,
I guess after
immediate.
VCU, it sounds pretty immediate.
Yeah. I mean, you go to this, I went to this school called the Ad Center. It sounds insane when you say it out loud, but you like build a portfolio of like fake advertisements basically. And then you try to get a job with that. And I graduated in 2008. And I was lucky enough that I got a job before like the recruiting session, because the recruiting session coincided almost exactly with like people jumping out of buildings at Lehman Brothers. So it was just like everything was falling apart. And I moved to New York City and I was living with a friend. We both got jobs and both of us lost our jobs the first day we were here, because they just basically like mass laid off the entire agency because of the crisis. And we were like, pounding the pavement, like trying to figure something out. And then I was lucky enough that they called me back a week later. And I think they were like, oh, we can actually afford you. Like we fired the people who make money, but we could afford you. So I kind of like got to keep that job. But I was lucky because it was a crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got through it. So at that point, were you just like, well, all of these things are coming together, but I know that you did end up taking at least one improv class. How many improv classes did you take?
Yeah, I took 4. I think I took until level 4 at Magnet. Yeah, I mean, I was writing, I was doing advertising stuff. I still didn't, I don't know, like as a young Canadian girl, the idea of like you could write for TV, like that kind of stuff was like not something that like entered my mind. It was just kind of like, you get a job and you grow up and whatever. But then when I moved here and I started like writing spec stuff, like I just heard that was a way that you could, I don't know, like get in. But yeah. So, and then someone that I knew who had been writing specs was taking a sketch class at Magnet. And yeah, I took a few levels. I was really bad.
Well, okay. I was going to mention this later, but that is not what I've heard. I have not heard that you were very bad.
Well, thank you. I think I was pretty bad. I'm not really cut out for it. Like I'm very in my head, and it's hard for me to listen when I'm on this, like when I'm in a scene, because I'm just thinking about like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this? But then I don't know if you know the story. So I like dropped out of Magnet, and my husband, who is currently, he's currently like a Magnet guy. He performs every week. He hadn't taken any classes, but he had done comedy sports, and I was like, you should do it. And it took a while to convince him to do it, but now like he's great at it.
He told that story when he was on the podcast about how your doing it inspired him to do it, and he was like, yeah, my best friend was doing it because that's what you two were at the time. And he was saying you were great at it. And also, because
he has to say that.
Well, yes, but I will say, I think he is great. He's super funny. I love his improv. I love his approach. And somebody else was saying, before I met you, someone else was like, and before I interviewed him as well, someone said at Magnet, they're like, well, he's not the funny one between the two. Between him and his wife is the funny one. And like, he's great, but his wife is the funny one.
It's really funny. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. He's just like much better suited to improv. He's like really quick on his feet and he likes performing. I don't really like performing. Gotcha. I love writing. And so I did take a sketch class, and actually I was listening to the episode you did with Beth Newell.
Yeah.
And she was talking about like being at Magnet and wanting to do something for the women. So she created that women's sketch. I did that sketch program.
Oh, okay.
And put on a show with her. And that's how we met. And I started writing for Reductress because of that. Like I happened to be at Magnet when they were starting it. So,
yeah,
I
Reductress and McSweeney's and New Yorker. You've written for all of those. And that was this was all that happening at the same time, or was this the precursor to you writing for those?
Yeah, I was writing a little bit for like, there's a bunch of like very small, strange, like little satire outlets online at that time that don't exist anymore. But then when Reductress started, I started like, writing every week, and that kind of gave me the confidence to try to get into McSweeney's and the New Yorker stuff. But it took a really long time. I think, a couple of years of rejection from McSweeney's before I broke in, and then same for the New Yorker. But the Reductress was kind of the starting point,
right,
for me.
Amazing.
Yeah, I to this day like really relish that time, and also I think Reductress articles are my number one like shared thing on social media. Like they just get it,
Yeah, I love them. We have so much of their like magnets and coasters. Mm-hmm. We have quite a few.
And your face is in like all the photos for the article.
Yeah, there are quite a few. I haven't seen one in a minute. My wife's also in them. Who you've not met?
No,
but we should introduce you to. I think you'd like her.
Does she do comedy too?
Yeah,
nice.
We actually met at our old improv theater in South Carolina. So.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, we just had our anniversary. We celebrate like starting with the day we met each other, because the day we met each other, I was already like, who is this person? And then the next day is when I asked her out. And then a few days after that was our first date. So, and we've just been together ever since. So we just.
How long ago was that?
12 years.
Wow. Congrats.
It's 2000. Yeah. It's 2026. Long enough to where
allegedly.
I have to think about it's long enough that I have to do math to figure out how long we've been. So it was 2014. What year is it now? Do you get to do much performing, or did you at one point get to do much performing with Howard?
No, I don't think we've ever performed together, actually.
Really?
Now that you say it. No, because I only did class shows at Magnet, and he wasn't in any of my classes.
Right, because he came in after you.
Yeah.
That stuff.
And I don't think, our wedding, we did like a shared toast. That's probably like the closest we've ever come. I like, the only performing I've really done is that I used to have a show with a bunch of writer friends called A Great Week for Women. And we would read, it was like a reading show. So we would like read short humor pieces at Caveat. And then when COVID happened, we kind of stopped doing that. But even that is like, I was reading. I wasn't really performing. So. Yeah,
and I saw something about a birthday of his where you were, was that one of those things where you were like reading?
No, for his 40th birthday, okay, something you should know about Howard. He like makes up theme songs to every TV show we watch. So this is like a thing in our house where it takes a few episodes to get it, but he had like hundreds of them. Okay. So for his 40th birthday, I hired an a cappella choir to sing a medley of his theme songs.
That's right. That's what it was.
But I didn't.
You didn't do the performing. You got.
Yeah.
Does he have one for the pit?
No, we don't watch The Pit,
Oh.
actually. Yeah, I know. We got to get into it.
That's
But
a good one.
noticing lately that like
A lot of shows,
shows,
they
they're
do
not,
like
it's like the credits are like the word and then it's over. Like there's not a lot of
there's
time.
like a stinger if there's a song. It's not so long anymore.
Totally.
Scrubs is back and they are showing their full song, so maybe that will bring it back, but I don't know. We watch a lot of medical shows and then the Cheer Company. No, it's 2 medical
Do
shows.
you think that, like, how much medical show, like, are you, like,
It's really
avid
just
fan?
Scrubs and The Pit that we watch.
Have you watched all of Scrubs?
Yes, it's my favorite sitcom.
Do you think that in a crisis, if you were on a plane and someone was like, is anyone a doctor? You could pull it off?
No.
Okay.
No.
So really, you're not getting anything out of the show.
Not like that. Just enjoyment. But when they start getting into the like jargon, I just glaze over.
Right, yeah.
Whenever
it's like
they say that
Succession or
stuff.
something.
Right. It's sort of like, I don't know what that means. I
Yeah.
can't repeat it. And I just heard you say it. But yeah,
There's some
they
great
yeah.
tweet. What's the tweet? There's some really funny tweet that's like Succession related where it was like, I don't know, Kendall says something like the bond market is crashing and my ETFs are flying. Me, not knowing what he said, holy fucking shit.
That's a good joke.
You don't know what anyone's saying, but you know that you need to care.
You know it's a big moment.
It's a big deal.
No, yeah. We do that whenever we watch The Pit. We're like, wow, sounds bad. And then it's like the person who survives. It's like, oh, okay, we were wrong.
You're like, okay, not bad, actually.
No, not that bad. Also, and we don't have to talk about Howard too much here, but he told the delightful story of, because I was like, wait, you were best friends, and then what?
Oh, you're gonna say the lemon. You're gonna talk about the lemon.
Yes, because it's, I want to say, I'm gonna say the wrong name. Glazer. It was
Glazer.
John Glazer. I started to say Todd Glass. I was like, that is not correct. John Glazer, his favorite comic. You had emailed him, and when he was telling the story, I was like, wait, you all were best friends then?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were you already falling for each other, like low key? Like, what was, I want to hear your side of the story, because that was such a sweet and endearing story.
Well, so yeah, we worked at this tiny agency together. We were creative partners, and there was only 6 creatives at the agency. So we basically were together 24/7,
Yeah.
and we had the same interests, and we lived in the same neighborhood. So like, we would take cabs home a lot, and then we would go to comedy shows like at the Bell House. And yeah, he loves John Glazer, and he has this thing with John Glazer where when he sees his shows, he goes into like a depression immediately after, because he just is like, I'm never going to be that good. Like John Glazer is just so good. It makes him feel bad. And he was not performing at that point. And I was like, well, you're not going to ever get to John Glazer's level if you don't do it. So I weirdly, that night when John Glazer was performing, he told some joke about like the lemon in Frank Langella's tea or something. I don't really remember what the joke was, but I at the time this is like so long-winded, I'm sorry.
No.
I had like written a book, okay, and I knew that I was trying to adapt my book into a show, and the guy at Comedy Central who was trying to adapt it is friends with John Glazer. So I was like, can I have John Glazer's email? And he was like, why? And I was like, don't worry about it. And I like created this account that was like Frank Langella's Lemon on Hotmail, and I like emailed him as the lemon. It's like so convoluted, and like thinking about it now, it's like just so mortifying. But I like sent this thing being like, can you tell my friend to do comedy, because he or his idol or whatever. And then he writes back and he's like, how'd you get this email?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh right, yeah, okay. And then I had to like actually like, drop the lemon persona and like say who I actually was. But he was really sweet, and he did write Howard a letter on Facebook telling him to like go and start doing comedy and pursue his dream. And so like Howard had no choice after that, because got this email from John Glazer.
Right.
But yeah, we were just friends then, and I don't think I mean, I'm really bad with dates and stuff, but I don't think we started dating until like a year later.
Wow.
Later, yeah.
So at that time, it was just your friend who you loved in that way that
Yeah, and
you
I really
hated to
liked,
see going through a tough time.
yeah, and like he's my creative partner too, so I believed in him creatively, you know?
Yeah.
And I like doing like elaborate pranks and stuff like that. So it was partially for me too.
Again, it was a few things coming together that
Yeah.
worked well together. I just think that's such a sweet story. And it's even sweeter that, in a way, it's even sweeter that it was just part of the basis of your relationship. It was like in the foundation well before you started dating, that you did
Yeah.
something so sweet for him.
He's never emailed a celebrity for me, and I'm gonna remind him of that tonight.
Who would be the celebrity for him to email?
Great question. Like, okay, is this somebody that like I would need inspiration from?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess. Or just who was
probably
your favorite?
my favorite comedian. It's too hard to say. I don't
Hmm?
know. I
Do you
just
have like a particular person? Like for me, it would be Conan O'Brien because he's my
Mhm.
hero. But
I love
is there?
Conan too.
Yeah, he's so great. That's
I mean, I
actually
love Sarah Silverman. Yeah, I love Maria Bamford. But
yeah, also great.
I think if he was gonna email someone to be like, get your shit together, it would probably be like Alexander Payne or like Tamara Jenkins, like a screenwriter,
Yeah.
that I love. That would be my John Glazer, I feel like.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
So you've written two books.
one book.
Well, you co-write a book?
Yeah, well, I co-wrote a book called People Who Deserve It in
Mhm.
2009,
Mhm.
and then
And
I
How to Write Good for Advertised Sign. Was that a book you wrote, or is that just something you're involved with in a different way?
I kind of was like the editor of it because
Ah,
I wrote
gotcha,
it at
gotcha.
an agency, and it's kind of like it's like an anthology of pieces from people in the
Gotcha.
industry. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very funny title for that. Let's talk about the People Who Deserve It book. What transpired to make you want to even write the book? Because I mean, I know you were doing so much writing, so it's not like it's this big swing of an idea that you were like, I'm going to write a book because you're already writing a ton. But what made you decide to get a book out there?
Well, this was like the time when if you had a blog on the internet, they would just give you a book. It was like crazy. And I had this blog, People Who Deserve It, with my friend Tim, and we were writing it in grad school,
Hmm.
and we just got contacted by a book agent, and she was like, "Do you want to turn this into a book?" And we were like, "Hell yeah!" And then we did. So it wasn't something that we really set out to do. We were writing, obviously, because we were writing the blog, but yeah, it was that like gorgeous time when possibilities were endless if you
Yeah,
had like a creative idea on the internet. So yeah, and that was like a singular experience. Like it didn't even like occur to me to like think about writing another book. It just was something that like happened to me kind of.
yeah.
But I loved the process. It was super fun. We got to work with an amazing illustrator to bring it to life, and I don't know, it's just kind of like a cool, fun analog project.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And what was that process like to take material that you had written for the internet and then make it a book? Did you have to do a lot of editing, or was it just a matter of choosing the right pieces?
We had to do I think it was probably like 50-50.
Hmm.
50% of stuff we'd already published and then 50% new because you wanted like your audience to have something new to buy. And then also there was like other little things like we had chapter breaks and like graphs and like little kind of like details in the book that broke it up. So yeah, some of it was just simple editing
Yeah.
and then some of it, but it was kind of tough to be like, okay, we have to now think of like 50 more of these in the
Hmm.
next 2 weeks. Like we kind of wrote it like weekly. We'd publish one person or whatever.
Hmm.
And then when the book came along, it was like, okay, now you got to like just dump all these characters basically out of nothing. So that was the most intense part, I think, was coming up with the people. But the writing
Right.
was easy, and we'd already been writing together for a while, me and Tim, so it came pretty naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels good when you're like, you know how to work with a person well enough that you can just let it fly.
Totally.
So you write the book. You're obviously still working at the agencies. I do want to talk a good bit about agency work, but you mentioned that the celebrities that you would want to, not want, but would be able to give you a boost were screenwriters. So is your desire to write screenplays? Is that where your head's at now?
Yeah, it's kind of where I've evolved to. I mean, it's kind of, I think we talked a little bit about, I was like writing specs
Right.
pilots when I was in my early 20s. But
Hmm.
I kind of was like, again, like that's not, I don't know how to get into that. And there was no YouTube or anything, it was like so different. It was such a different time. It was like gate kept and I was just a
Hmm.
slow Canadian girl. So yeah, I kind of like kept that on the back burner, like as something that I wanted to do, but I don't know, agency life's like pretty intense and it kind of
Yeah.
like gets away from you. But in 2019, I quit my agency job. Like I basically quit my agency life to open a climate nonprofit.
Hmm.
And
Potential Energy Coalition.
yeah, exactly. And it was kind of like getting creatives. It was like a creative collective. So getting
Mhm.
creatives to think about how, unique voices and stories can help shift the narrative on climate change. And while I was there, I wrote a pilot with my friend Sasha, called Bill on Earth, which won a Blacklist Fellowship.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
yeah, and that was just like an amazing experience. And it was kind of like, it kind of opened my eyes to, you know, like PSA advertising is awesome for some things and not great for other things. And one of the things it's not great for is like long-term kind of like conversion moments for people. Like
Right.
when I think about how I came to be a climate activist, it was through like reading David Wallace Wells and Mary Oliver and, like a bunch of people. And it wasn't like a 30-second ad.
Right.
So I decided that ultimately I wanted to like dedicate myself more to long form
Mhm.
stuff. So now, yeah, I'm writing features and a couple pilots and stuff. And I like to joke because it's like Hollywood is imploding. And I'm like, does anyone want to hire like a 40-year-old who has no experience? But yeah, that's kind of where my passion is at the moment. So I'm kind of trying to follow it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You also founded Gooder,
Hmm.
and that's helping brands. So is that those the two tracks you're on, but with, like when it comes to your output, your work, it's screenplays, but then you're also helping other people get on track with their thing that they want. Am I understanding things the
Yeah.
right way?
It's basically like I freelance for brands and it could be brands, could be NGOs, could be politicians, like anybody who needs help telling their story and has like a moral compass, basically. And I have like a lot of contacts from my previous job at Potential Energy. So I was doing this was all going very well until Trump got reelected. And now
Right.
a lot, there's just so many of my clients are like not spending money or afraid, honestly, to like
Yeah.
say
It was
anything.
tough last year with that as well. People were getting tight, and someone told a buddy of mine, someone who's in marketing told a buddy of mine that it was starting to open up a little bit. So it seemed promising for this year, but
Yeah, for me,
we'll
it's
see.
more like you know, the clients I was working with who are climate organizations were literally being like investigated by the FBI for doing their jobs. So
Mm,
everyone kind of just like stopped
yeah. I
because
mean, if you're in that sector of it, yeah, like
yeah,
the people who are actually trying to stop these people from doing what they're doing are going to
exactly.
get targeted. And so that would
Exactly.
be why they would, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. So it's, I've been taking on like more traditional projects this year. But yeah, ultimately the goal is to kind of like help brands that have great sustainability plans and
Hmm.
are like actually trying to do something about the problem, tell their stories and gain like earned media.
You know, part of what we face right now, and I've seen it a lot this week, is the misinformation and straight up disinformation way that people are utilizing the internet to get a message out. So that's a lot to combat when you're trying to tell people what's really going on with a lot of these different things that are going on. I don't want to ask a too broad of a question here of like,
You're
well,
like, what
how do
do
you
we
deal
do?
with that? Right. It's like, that's not a good question. That is too broad.
Casey,
But
what do
right.
you?
But when it comes to messaging, because of how prominent disinformation is and how treacherous it is, quite frankly, that in the ways that they use it. I mean, every day on Threads, I see how people are posting the wrong message and the lies and how easily it's working.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to just trying to communicate with people who are being lied to and falling for it, how do you adjust your message?
Yeah.
What are the suggestions or tips that people in your position use to try to counterbalance that or run defense?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think honestly, the answer is like be entertaining. Like I think a lot of the time, the like activist space, people come at it from like, this is our issue and like issue first. This is what we care about. This is why you should care about it too. But in advertising, you start with the audience. Like you start with the person you're talking to and you say, oh, what are they interested in? And how can I talk to them in a way that would pique their interest? And I feel like if more activists use that model where they like really thought of the audience first, it would be easier to make inroads with some people. Because like I love climate comedy because I find that comedy is just like a shortcut because you kind of like bypass the center in someone's brain that has like the hackles up and is just like partisan, purely partisan. If you can say something true about their lived experience, you kind of, and make them laugh, you can kind of come in this side door and they could kind of be taken by surprise. So I don't know. I think we get like so like, I don't know. We just get like so adamant about getting the talking points right and making sure the talking points are perfect. And it's like, the talking points can be perfect, but if you're not saying them in an entertaining way and if they're ultimately like a turnoff to the audience, then it's not going to work. So yeah, I think we need to build an ecosystem that has like a lot of different audiences in mind and makes content that's entertaining for those specific audiences. And the right is really good at doing that. I mean, like the manosphere,
Yeah, they do it with anger a lot too.
Totally.
Like that's the easy way to beat the algorithm. Like it's never funny.
Yeah, totally. And that is like a shortcut, and it's a bit like annoying because it's kind of like, well, that's a cheap and easy. But and like maybe there's a place for that too. But I am angry. I am angry about what's going on with climate. But a lot of the time, you're kind of preaching to the choir when you're taking.
Yeah, that is kind of the thing I'm seeing is that there are a lot of people who it's like it's good to preach to the choir sometimes when it's like a rallying cry.
Yeah.
Like, all right, guys, we got to rally and stay focused. But you need to bring in new people as well. And
100%.
there's a media literacy issue when it comes to that because there's so many people who are just reading the tweet or just reading the headline and they don't seek out any more information beyond that. And once it's just, it's so easy for them to scroll past, see something, they think they don't care about it, they just scroll past it and they're like, of course someone's doing something stupid, and they scroll along and it gets filed in the back of their brain. However, it's getting filed back there.
Yeah.
And then later when it comes up, when it matters in a vote for presidency or something like that, then they're easy triggers for them. And since they haven't listened to the people who know what they're talking about and are not lying to them, they just can go back to that tweet they saw or that headline they saw that they didn't fully understand and got manipulated with.
And it's also like there's a lot of, we're in an era of like deep skepticism and cynicism about expertise, and people just don't trust experts anymore. And it's not out of nowhere. I mean, there's been like a 30-year campaign to
I
discredit
mean, yeah,
scientists and stuff. But I
yeah,
do feel like, we have to also get more comfortable on our side, letting people who aren't experts talk about the issues, because it's like on one side, it's just random people making shit up. And on our side, we're
right.
like, listen to these 100,000 scientists. And I think there has to be something in between, where we can
That's
have
a
like,
good point. Because there are the people on the left are very much like, I shouldn't talk about it because I'm not an expert.
exactly.
Like, which is the thoughtful
Yeah.
meaning, like it's a reasonable attitude
Yeah.
to
But then
have.
nobody's talking about it because
Right,
nobody, yeah.
right. And the people who are just like knee jerk, like a lot of this stuff, I understand why people would be skeptical about it because it maybe goes against what they understood previously.
Yeah, or it's like unfathomable,
Right.
like
It's
what
so
we're
hard to
talking about.
get.
We're
Yeah.
talking about climate change. Like no one wants to think about that. It's like horrifying. But then
Yeah.
if you think about like really specifics, there's like some specific zones, especially with climate where like there's like like a heart center. Like people are very nostalgic, right? Like
Hmm.
Trump's whole campaign is based on nostalgia. And when you talk to people about like where they grew up and how that the place has changed since they were little, they get really emotional about it. And like that's a pressure point, that's
Hmm.
somewhere to play. So instead of
Yeah.
talking about like the science around climate change, like just talk about the
Like,
places you
hey,
love
there are
and what's
more
happening.
tornadoes in your hometown than when you were growing up, and it's
Yeah.
because of climate change.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I get it. It's like it's easier to just think that everything is a conspiracy
Yeah.
than to like get to the bottom of like complicated and sometimes frustratingly unclear truths.
Right. Right.
But I
It's
don't know. It's not helping us at all.
no. I mean, the thing that boggles my mind are the people, and it's so many who end up voting for the right who are skeptical of people because they'll say like, hey, there are people out there who'll just say anything to get you, manipulate you into doing whatever. And those are the people they fall for while they call the people who are not doing that the manipulators. And it's like, wait, you're actually right that there are people
You're
out
so
there.
close. You're so close to getting
You just
it.
trust the wrong ones for some reason. But it's because they're in like the echo chambers that they're in. And I mean, it
Yeah, but
is.
I do think that like beyond, obviously there's like algorithms and the internet has fucked us all up, but like there's
Yeah.
there's been really insidious stuff going on for years. Like with
Yeah.
climate change, for instance, like I remember being a kid and like, the Exxon cups at the gas station. And like at
Hmm.
school, sometimes like the books would have like stories of like the great oil fields of Canada and whatever. And if you go back now and you dig, I mean, that is like oil company propaganda. And
Yeah.
it's not people's fault for falling for it because it's in
Right.
your life since you're a fucking baby,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
the air and the water you drink. So
Right. And there's not a conglomerate on the other side. It's just people and scientists. So that, like, scientists aren't going to have a
no,
scientist cup
no,
all over the,
they don't even have money to do the science.
right. Right. So, like, if there's some sort of way to make them market it, I don't want to think necessarily in that sense because then it just like perpetuates how people can get manipulated, I guess. But
No,
at
but
the
it is
same
a
time,
problem. Like
yeah,
it's a funding gap too. It's like oil companies
right.
spend $200 million a year on advertising and the other side spends $0. So that's a major like communications gap.
Yeah.
Um, and I hate to say like the other side because there's no sides. It's just
When it comes to this, you're right. I mean, really, it's these wealthy guys at the top who it would, for in their minds, it would be bad if we did anything about the climate because they would lose money.
yeah.
And so they are putting a ton of money into buying politicians and disinforming people And it's a mess.
Yeah, and they're
And you're
smart.
right.
They
Yeah,
were
it's not
smart.
like the right versus the left with this. It is an us problem.
I mean, I feel like so many of our problems are an us problem, and just rich people are
Yeah.
using us as pawns against each other so that they don't have to pay taxes. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not a fun conversation.
No, it's not. Yeah. But thank you for the work that you're doing. I do appreciate hearing about that, and thanks for sharing that. And it is, I every day I don't, when I'm on threads, I'll see people point out something, and usually in the form of a joke, making fun or mocking some account that's putting out disinformation. And so often those accounts are bots or,
Yeah.
something that's not speaking in good faith and maybe not worth saying anything to because it helps spread their message to engage with it. But there's got to be some kind of way to get people's attention to point out, hey, this stuff is actually not true what they're saying. But
I know, but it's like a fire hose. It's
yeah,
like so much, it's like impossible to
address
go
this drop.
address all it all. Yeah,
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah,
It's like a systemic problem that needs to be fixed at like a higher
yeah.
level. I feel like honestly, I'm kind of like take the internet back. Like I'm over it. Like I don't think we need it. Like it's not helping. I
All people are doing on there is like finding ways to take advantage of other people, and no one's doing anything to stop them.
I'm like just go outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like has the internet made your life measurably better?
You
Really?
know, I mean, I posted something on Threads earlier. It was like, I came on here to post a joke, and then I got caught up in posts that were in my feed. Now, 30 minutes later, wasn't really 30 minutes later, I've forgotten the joke I was going to post,
Yeah.
and I've just wasted a bunch of time. And it is
And
such
like you have a
a time
podcast, but
suck.
you can have a radio show, you don't need the internet for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the DIY nature of it for like some creators, but at the same time, like I'll find another way. If the grid goes down, I'll just let's do it
Stand with a
another way.
megaphone outside.
Right, right. Well, thank you again for talking about that because it is an important issue, and it's a tough world out there right now. What's next for you? Do you have any? Is it just keep on keeping on with where you are, or do you have something
Yeah.
in the ready, or not ready to come out, but
No, I'm working on a feature right now that I'm excited about.
cool.
And I am working on a show that would be like a performance thing that I don't want to say too much about, but I think I have to like do some open mics or something. Like I think I have to do some stuff where I go out and actually like stand on the stage and tell some jokes and see if it works. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Does that mean maybe a caveat show is in the future about
Maybe.
about climate
Maybe.
and comedy? I see a world where that's a thing. Well, we've reached the end of the episode. It's been really great chatting with you, but I
Yeah.
do want to create something with you, and I'm trying to think what that thing could be because we're talking a lot here about communicating, and I think there's also a line as well of like taking the different things you love and finding the most synergetic way to do them. So maybe one thing, maybe it's like an advice thing because you've accomplished quite a bit, and there are a ton of us out there who are like also wanting to accomplish a lot. Is there, I'm not going to ask like, what's the track to accomplish, but when it comes to communicating one's message and finding a way to communicate it, what sort of advice would you give to someone who they have an idea, they have a passion about something, or there's just something they care about, but they don't know how to present it to the world?
Hmm. Interesting. Are you talking about anything or like a political thing or
I would say, let's say anything. Like if it's, because maybe this is also like how you help a brand get their message out. But also maybe it is for some people a political thing or societal thing that they want to try to envision.
Mm-hmm.
So like what advice would you give someone who is trying to just figure out how to get stuff out?
Well, okay, interesting. I feel like this is how I'll tell you. I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I would tell you that when I'm thinking about like a creative campaign
Okay.
for a brand or for an issue or whatever, I usually like ask a couple baseline questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is going on in culture
Mm-hmm.
that this issue can rub up against or relate to. So like, try to find a highway into a conversation that already exists. I like to think about what is the absolute truth about this thing that everyone is afraid to say,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how can I say that in a way that, you know, doesn't offend anybody, but that resonates with people.
Wow.
And then I like to think about what am I really animated about right now, like
Interesting.
in my life. And I kind of start from there and, things start to bubble up and I start to make associations and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And do you
Um,
write this down or is it, I mean, you do write it down?
I'm a big like notepad girly. Yeah.
Good, good,
Have
good.
notepads everywhere. Yeah, I write it down and then things start to form. I
Mm-hmm.
also, do you know Caitlin Kunkel?
I don't think so.
You should interview her if you don't know her. She's a humor writing teacher.
Okay.
And when I started wanting to like get into satire and stuff, I took a class with her and now she's like one of my best friends. But
Uh,
she has this cool saying where it's like you write down what you're angry about
mm-hmm.
or what's on your mind or the thing
Mm-hmm.
you want to write about. And then you write down like 15 different formats of things, like ways of communicating, a memo, a radio show, a bridal shower invitation. Like you just start writing down random formats and that way you can match things up. So like I'll give you an example. When I took her class, I wrote this piece called the Koch brothers Kama Sutra. That was like all the ways the Koch brothers are fucking you basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
That's good.
the way that I did that was like I was okay, what am I angry about right now? I'm angry about like dark money and politics. And
Mm-hmm.
then I started writing down what are funny ways of communicating and I thought of like, you know, a, like a Kama Sutra or like a guided sex book, like something that you would have seen in some like hippie dippy place and whatever. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's funny." Like,
Yeah.
and I just think that's sometimes I don't know. I think a lot of the time we're just like told to like expect magic to happen.
Right,
And
but it does just
it's not
doesn't.
like that for me, at
Yeah.
least. Like, I have to work at it and
No,
I gotta like put it all down and make random connections and
I totally agree. I mean, when magic happens, it just happens. It's not
Mhm.
something that you can like wave a magic wand or just like bestow. You can't just go and now magic. Like
Yeah. The
it
only
either
way you
comes or it
can
doesn't.
yeah, the only way you can actually like consistently, if there is any consistency to it, have it happen is to just like sit down and work because
Hmm.
you know it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna
like the
come more
more
often
you
when you do that.
write, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you just like put a bunch of stuff out, eventually something will be amazing.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
That's really good advice. And I like that thought about what is the thing that people know but are too afraid to say
Mm.
or unwilling to say. Because that is, I think, at its heart, some of the best work that's out there. It's the thing that people deep down know, but they just maybe they haven't come to the conclusion yet, or they aren't saying it and they're ignoring it. And when you can find a funny way to point it out, that always hits hard.
Totally. It's like when you're sitting in the audience at a stand-up show or something and the comic says a joke and then they're like, hear someone like to your left be like, "Oh, I think that all the time." Like yes, like that happens so often when you just hear people like comment on the joke that they're like, "Oh my God," like it just They're like, yes, that thing that I never would have thought to verbalize.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's the wouldn't have thought to verbalize it part that makes it so, it's so tasty.
Yes.
Well, there it is. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, Casey.
Thank you for having me. This was super fun.
Oh my gosh, she is so cool, and I'm so glad that I got to talk to her. What a great chat. Hire Casey for all your storytelling needs. You can find more about her and some of her awesome work on her website, caseyrand.com. While you're on there, check out more on her book, People Who Deserve It, which you can order on penguinrandomhouse.com. Follow her on Instagram at Casey Rand. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at There It Is Pod, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at There It Is. And follow me on Instagram and Threads at Jason Farr Pics. Also subscribe to our comedy lifestyle newsletter and support us if you can. We have a Patreon and a PayPal. Go to thereitispod.com for newsletter and support info. Links in bio. Until next time, be good to each other. It's a moral imperative.
The music for the theme song was created by Neil Brooks. The rap was written and performed by Nick Acevedo. The logo for There It Is was created by Jeff Prater. The There It Is podcast is produced by Jason Farr.